And we've got another one, episode 3 already. Plugin versus hardware, it's becoming a thing. We are going to try the Manley Massive Passive. It's a stereo tube EQ. It's one of my favorite pieces in the studio. It's one of the most expensive pieces in our studio. I love it. I'm sure you're gonna love it. And I'm really curious how it's going to compare to the Universal Audio Massive Passive plugin. So let's give it a shot. Let's start with the drums first. I'm running all the drums through a bus with the hardware on it. I'm going to set the hardware first, and then I'm going to dial in those exact same settings in the plugin, and then we're going to A/B them. Okay, so I'm going for 100 hertz because I think we can hear that a bit more on smaller speakers. 33 hertz goes crazy on the big din audios, but I don't know if you can hear that on your KRK5s. Sorry. Okay, let's put those settings in the plugin. So we've got a boost at 100. That's fairly neutral. We've got a big boost because I really want to overdo everything so you can really hear the differences. We've got a bell. Then we've got another boost. That's just on 12 o'clock, boosting a lot of low mids, cutting a bit of the harshness from that hi-hat. High shelf, 9 o'clock with the gain, 16K. All right, that is about the same. They both got stuff that I like. If I could put a crossover point somewhere and take the lows from the plugin and the highs from the hardware, that would be amazing. The low end on the plugin still is punchy and it just slaps. The hardware, it misses a bit of that detail. Maybe it's rounder and warmer, but it's not hitting as hard. And I need these drums to hit. The high end, however, the harshness in that hi-hat, the hardware piece solves a lot of that. The plugin seems like it didn't get the memo with the cut on 4.7K because it's still harsh. Now, this would not be the type of EQ I would do surgical EQ with. I would leave that to Pro Q3, but it is a difference between the plugin and the hardware, and a big difference because I want a tube EQ to be lush and round in the high end, and for that I would really need the hardware version in this case. Let's try the kick only. Okay, let's put those into the plugin really quick. again, it feels like it's holding back on the transient or something. It's not doing the same transient wise. The hardware really seems to hold back on that transient. And maybe that's the conversion step, maybe that's just tube circuit. I would prefer the plug-in massive passive on the kick. That's great. If you need a plug-in for your kick, now you can just go out and buy a $250 plug-in instead of a $6,000 hardware unit. Let's see what it does on the instrumental of what I want to do. Let's see what that does in the plugin. Okay. I feel I get a little bit more depth from the hardware piece. I hope that comes across through YouTube compression as well. There's something going on inside that circuitry that gives it a warmth and a low-mid hug. It feels like it's hugging you more than the plugin. The plugin is great. The hardware is nice. I'm really glad I've got the hardware, but it is pretty close. I have to say it's pretty close on this setting. So maybe if we go overboard and we go crazy, we can see if there's really any big differences. Because there are differences, but is it enough to justify $6,000? I don't know. Let's try a different setting. Let's go party mode. I heard you liked high end, so I put it all the way up. Okay, this is a ridiculous setting. Let's put it in the plugin. Hardware. Okay, now the plugin is okay, now the plugin, it can keep up, but it is a bit weird. The high end is not really doing what the high end on the hardware piece is doing, and it's becoming a bit mushy and not really detailed anymore. And the hardware, even though it is on a ridiculous setting, it still manages to keep it intact and keep it detailed and keep a representation of what is in the song, what is in the instrumental, and what every element is. And In the plugin, it just becomes crowded and mushy and not really, you can't really tell what's what anymore, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got vocals. We've got the backing vocals and lead vocals of what I want to do. It is with all the effects, all of the processing, all of the compression, EQ, everything I did in the mix. This is the final bounce of the lead vocals and the backing vocals. If you want to see how I mixed a song of Dafne Adriana, you can see that up here. You can see the mix breakdown, and you'll see all about my vocal mixing techniques and how I mix the instrumental and everything. Let's dial in the Massive Passive.
Can't tell me that it's over.
Maybe 5K.
Can't tell me that it's over.
Yeah, I like 7K more. Okay.
Can't tell me that it's over.
And now let's see if we can make up for that dullness that we created by taking out that 6.8K, 16K, maybe really airy.
Can't tell me that it's over.
Okay, so we got rid of a bit of that harshness, and we've got some airy top end on there as well. They got a little bit thinner, so maybe we can push up some mids.
Can't tell me that it's over. I'll show you what I wanna do. No need to hesitate. Let me convince you that we're alright. I'll show you what I wanna do. I wanna do for you. Can't tell me that it's over. I'll show you what I wanna do. No need to hesitate. Let me convince you that we're alright. I'll show you what I wanna do.
Okay, so we're losing a bit of the directness, but it's more smoothed out and airy. Maybe that works, maybe that doesn't work. Let's see what it does in the plugin.
I'll show you what I wanna do. No need to hesitate. Let me convince you that we're alright. I'll show you what I wanna do. I wanna do for you.
The plugin stays a bit harsh, even though we did a massive cut on 6.8K. It's not as warm and smooth as the hardware version. In this case, I could definitely work with the plugin version in the mix. I would not be mad, but if I would have the hardware version in front of me like I do in the studio, then I would probably, for this, if I did this shootout, I would go for the actual hardware piece. This was the Massive Passive. I hope I've shown you everything you wanted to see about this. I hope this comparison made sense. We are working hard to get the files for you so you can blindly A/B test. Until then, you have to do with these YouTube videos. It would mean a lot to me if you could like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, which one you prefer, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.